Miniature Market is thousands of board games at discounted prices. Click the direct link below to see all these Gencon releases or any other games. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today I'm joined by my friend
Greg Dixon, thanks for having me.
Who has been on a lot of my videos and top 10 lists, but he's never been on a top 10 Gencon list.
Yeah, okay, I'm excited.
Yes. So today we are going over the top 10 most anticipated games for Gencon. Later this week, I'm also doing a top 10 games that are releasing at Gencon and I've already played. So these are going to be ones that we may have dabbled in a little bit, but haven't really totally dove in on any of these yet. But these are ones that we're hoping to get into. So
yeah, the most excited games.
And you know, Gencon from the day that this goes live is about a week away. So you got a week to sort of watch this video and research the ones that we've been talking about. And whether or not you're going at Gencon, hopefully this will help you. So we are going to get started with number 10.
Number 10.
All right, so I think it's important to mention that we are looking at games that are for sale only.
Yep.
Not demo, right? This is stuff that if you go to Gen Con, you should be able to pick up a copy.
By the way, thank you, Board Game Geek, for putting that list together. It's amazing. You can
Yes.
filter on for sale or not. You can filter on designer.
Yeah.
We would not be able to make a video of this without that. And even with
Yeah.
it, we spent hours and hours and hours researching this, but it would have been impossible without that. Thank you for Board Game
Yeah,
Geek for
every
doing
year
that.
it's great to go through. Even if you're not, like I've been to Gen Con, but I don't go every year. It's just nice to see what's coming and know what's going to actually be available and see like when it rolls out. They list when it's coming out, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's great to see. Most of my games, now I know you're going to do a separate video of games you've already played.
Yep.
I've included some of those here, which I thought would be a good idea so we'd have less overlap as well.
Sure. And by the way, neither of us know what's on either of our lists.
Right.
So we don't know if we have an overlap, we'll let the other person talk, and we'll say, I got
By
this.
the way.
You might see this one a little later.
And so most of mine are games I haven't played before. This first one is one I've played sort of a version of before. So the first one, my number 10, is Brussels 1893, and it's Belle Epoque. I'm probably pronouncing that horribly. But basically what this is it looks like it's a new publisher now. My old version from 2013 is from Z-Man. This is Geek Attitude Games. And this is the base game. Apparently some streamlining, some alterations to the look of it, and then throwing in like an expansion as well, which I never got.
So it's a new printing?
Yeah, it's like a new it's like, yeah.
Is it a completely new publisher?
It is.
Because I know you like the original game.
I love the original. Now,
I've still never played. This is a blind spot for me.
and it's a heavier Euro. It's like 3.5-ish on BGG, the weight scale. And sadly, I checked on my own BGG, and I see that I haven't played it since like 2018. But for like a few years there, from when it came out to then, we played it a ton. It works great at 2, works great at all player counts. There's elements of like bidding and area majority. So even though it's like a Euro game, it still feels somewhat cutthroat, which is part of what I like. Especially about those older Euros, that's not uncommon. You think of games like Tigris and Euphrates and stuff. They're totally cutthroat, but they're still considered like Euro games. This is a nice blend of the two where you can kind of mess over your opponents, but ultimately you're just trying to do what's best for you. This is one of the best worker placement games, and I feel like it's old enough now that I'm excited to see it out again and available. And even though I don't know if I'll pick up this new version since I have the old version, it's definitely something I wanted to put on people's radar because I'm so glad that it's like available again. One of my favorite worker placement games. And from the description, it sounds like they feel like they've streamlined not only the mechanics, but like the aesthetics and the look of it. They've sort of overhauled it, I guess is what I should say. So anyway, Brussels 1893, Belle Epoque is what they're calling it. That's like the subtitle. You can't go wrong with this one.
This is still one I want to play.
Yeah, I'll teach it to you sometime.
Yeah.
I need to get it back in my head too because it's been like since 2018 since I played it. So I've been kind of wanting to play it anyway. So this is like the perfect excuse to get it back on my radar and hopefully back on the table as well.
Cool. My number 10 is going to be most people's number 1.
Oh, wow.
But it's not. It's my number 10.
Okay.
This is Disney's Lorcana.
Now, is that available or not?
This is the deal.
It
It has been marketed like crazy, but there was a lawsuit in Upper Deck is suing them for saying that the person that is the designer of this used to work for them. He left, and the game that he was working on there now has a lot of similarities to Lorcana. So there is an open lawsuit. And this actually, I did not see it on the BGG list.
I didn't either, which is
made
why I
me
didn't
wonder,
include it.
are they not, I can't imagine them not selling it. It hasn't gone to trial yet. They're saying they're innocent. So anyways, I'm expecting this to be there because they have been pushing it so hard, and even since the lawsuit has come out,
they're still promoting.
I have been in contact with their people. They haven't told me it's not going to be there.
Okay.
But it's not on the list, so...
Probably good to have it as your 10, since we don't know entirely the availability
So this essentially is a trading card game. It features Disney characters in both original and reimagined art styles. And Lorcana stands for basically the words lore and arcana. So you can get it's a trading card game. So you'll get like a starter deck of 60 cards, which includes 2 foil cards of the character pack. But it also contains 1 booster pack that has 12 randomized cards. But then you'll also be buying boosters. And those boosters come with 12 cards, 6 common, 3 uncommon, 2 rare, super rare, or legendary, and 1 foil card. This essentially is, from what I've seen, is like a family weight trading card game.
Right.
And the reason why this isn't higher on my list is because I don't like chasing boosters.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't, but some people do.
Yeah.
If it was just here's what you get, make your deck like a mind bug, I'd be way more excited about it.
Right, self-contained.
Yes, because it's only number 10, but I couldn't not put it on the list because this is assuming it's going to be there, this will be the thing everyone is running for. Last year it was Twilight Inscription. This year it's going to be this and maybe one other thing that I will mention a little later possibly. But yeah, Disney Lorcana, it is the hotness of hotness.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be waiting on line
Well,
for this one.
I'm glad you brought it up because I would have as well, but I didn't because, well, 2 things. One, I'm not a big TCG player either. And like we said, it's not technically listed on that thread. So I kept everything to that thread just because these are the things that are most certain to be there and available. But I do know they're going to be running like events and things. And so even if it's not available to purchase, get it on your radar and maybe try to sign up now if you can still. And get involved with having a chance to at least play it if you're going to be there.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they didn't put it on that list just to be careful in case what was going on with the lawsuit. But I have a feeling they're still going to be selling it because I haven't been told by them that they're not. And I've been in contact with them somewhat recently, but I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see
they don't always tell us
how it all
everything
shakes out.
Yeah. So there's our number 10s.
Number 9.
All right, number 9 is one of the games, again, that I have played before. Very recently, and I love it. Dan taught it to me, and that is Blob Party by Pam Walls. This is from WizKids. WizKids is sort of quietly puts out lots of great stuff that I don't feel like gets the press or grabs the headlines in the board game community like I'd hope. One of my all-time favorites, Deadline from them, and a lot of recent solid games from Z-Man as well, like Rebuilding Seattle, Squid Ink, Bumuntu. So when they hit it out of the park, they really hit it out of the park, and this is one we've both played. I don't know if it's going to be on his other list, but I know he enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. We've talked to other people who've liked it. Very simple, like word association party game with this fun little like gimmick of like all your own little Play-Doh blob with like a little googly eye on it, and you're trying to like become one glob together. And as you play, you're all your own glob, but anytime people match, they congeal. It sounds so gross, but it's part of what's fun about it. It's for kids and families and stuff. You congeal into a bigger and bigger blob with all your little googly eyes on it. Sounds weird, sounds silly, super easy to learn. This is like in that same camp as like Just One or that kind of a game, Codenames or something, that you can play with a big group. Everyone's having a good time. There's a lot of, oh, why didn't you put this word kind of moments in it.
It is an amazing game.
It's so
It is a
fun.
Special game. Definitely check out Blob Party. Spoiler, yes, it might be on my other list.
Dan, bring me home a copy, by the way, because I'm not going to Gen Con this year.
Blob Party is a very special party game. Like
It's
Just One
so
in reverse.
cool.
It's great.
So cool.
My number 9 is actually the only one on this list I think that I've actually played. This is, and you have 2 actually, Sky Team. Sky Team,
Yes,
Greg and I
yes.
actually, as I was getting images for this before we started to record, they actually have a picture of you and I playing this at Gamma
really?
on Board Game Geek. I'm like, oh, let me get some images for you. Wait, there's us.
I don't remember
kinda
we
weird.
taking the picture.
Yeah,
That's
so Sky
funny.
Team is from Scorpion Masqué. It's going to be at the Hachette Board Games table booth. It's a 2-player limited communication cooperative game where you're basically playing as the pilot and co-pilot at the controls of an airliner, and you're trying to work together as a team to land your airplane in different airports around the world. To land the plane, you're going to be needing to silently assign your dice to the correct spaces in the cockpit. You're balancing the axis of the plane, controlling its speed, deploying the flaps, extending the landing gear, contacting the control tower to clear your path, and even a little coffee to improve your concentration enough to change the value of your die. him and I have played this, and the reason why it's still on here, even though I played it, is because him and I played the very basic learning tutorial version of the game. And even in our first game, we won.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that close. We actually did really well.
Fine,
we had a little bit of luck, but so yes, we dabbled in it, but there's a lot of advanced modules and difficulty levels that you can add and different things. And that's the reason why it's still on this list, because I liked the game as a whole. If that was it, I would not have been enthused. But because I know there's a lot more that you can add to it, I know that, okay, the framework of this game's good, and I'm anticipating what this will be like when you actually throw more stuff in.
And you feel like even though you got a taste of it, you haven't really played it.
Right. Yeah. It was like one 15-minute little tutorial, right? So,
yes. But I was impressed. Even though we beat it, I was still impressed because I felt like it did a good job of simulating sort of all the elements of things you'd have to factor in as a pilot without being complex in any way. Like, it's very digestible. So,
and there's Sky Teams at the Hachette Board Games booth from Scorpion Masqué.
Number 8.
All right, my number 8 is one that I think a lot of people are going to be talking about, and that is The Fox Experiment. This is by Elizabeth Hargrave, we had Pam Walls in the last one, another female designer. This is Pandasaurus Games. The weight is 2.5, which is kind of like perfect. Like that's what you expect from Elizabeth Hargrave. It's a nature theme again, and it's based off of real scientific research into foxes and basically sort of how you can through selective genetic breeding, make changes to the breed and whatnot. It's got drafting in it. It's the scientific theme. It's nature themed again, which of course she excelled with Wingspan, Elizabeth Hargrave. And so it just feels like it's got everything going for it, at least for me, right? Great designer. Every time we play Wingspan, we're like, why don't we play this more? We love this game. Drafting, like I said, based off real scientific research. So there's just a lot going for this. And I'm just excited to see, what she's come up with next. I think a lot of people who are going to be talking about Gencon are going to be talking about this game. I think it's going to be, I assume it's going to be a big hit based off her name alone, but then just all these other elements going into it as well that make it appealing. So that's my number 8, The Fox Experiment.
That one almost made my list.
Oh, really? Didn't make your list?
Only reason why it did, because there's so many good games.
There is.
Just so you know, after going through the list,
yes,
I have 58 games on my list that I'm actively going to bring home from Gen Con.
Yeah, and
so we're just doing top 10 right here.
Yeah.
So it almost made my list, but it didn't.
I narrowed it down to like dozens of games initially as well, and I was excluding expansions, excluding ones that were demo only, and there's still dozens of games that interested me. But this one just made the cut because I just think it's like firing on all. It's Pandasaurus.
Yeah.
It's Elizabeth Hargrave. It's a great theme. Yeah. I just think it's got so much going for it. Yep. I can't imagine playing this and being let down.
Yeah, no, it looks good. My number 8 is a Euro game called Barcelona. It's coming out from Board and Dice. 1 to 4 players, 60 to 90 minutes. You're builders in the 19th century Barcelona who are working to the new expansion of the city. And you're going to be constructing buildings to accommodate the citizens who want to leave the old city. And you're going to be building streets, you're going to be creating tram lines, and building public services. But the reason why this was really hitting home to me, because everything that you do in this game affects everyone else. Oh, because you did that train there, or because you built there, that now allows me to do this. So there's a communal board and I love Euros that have a lot of interaction.
Yes.
And this, from what I've seen and from what I've heard, has a lot of that. So I love that, how like the game's always going to be different. I don't like, those standard Euros that are multiplayer solitaire where there's 3 different tracks that you can focus on, and after 3 times of playing the game, you're like, I've kind of discovered everything this game has. When you have a lot of interaction, you're not playing the game, you're playing the people.
Right.
And I like that better. And I've watched some of the early reviews from my buddy Rado, who was in the studio not so long ago. And some others, and everyone is saying this game, and then the weight is kind of heavy on Board Game Geek. I think it's like close to 4.
I was going to say, I think it's like 3.7
But I've also heard that
8.
like all of the weight comes in the decision making, not in the rules.
Right.
So it sounds like it's somewhat streamlined, but yet has lots of complexity with how to do what you want to do. So again, huge interaction. I like the theme. It looks nice. Board and Dice usually does good stuff.
Yeah.
So they've got a good track record, and everyone's saying this is good, and the interaction is what's really driving me for this. So
I'm glad you brought that one up because it was on my short list. I didn't end up on the 10. But yeah, it looks interesting. It looks exciting, and like Brussels 1893, like interactive Euro, right? I agree with you. I like those where you're not just doing your own thing and completely checked out from everyone else's turn.
That is Barcelona from Board and Dice.
Number 7.
All right, for my number 7. Look, guys, this is a good year for horror fans.
Yeah.
I love horror movies. It's one of my all-time favorites. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Slaughterhouse. Now, there's 2 Texas Chainsaw Massacre games coming out.
I have one of them already.
Yeah, oh, yes? Okay. So this one's Slaughterhouse. This is by Funko Games.
Oh, that's the one I have.
Okay, well.
That's on your list?
Yes.
You want to take it home? Because you're not going to Gen Con.
Heck yeah, I want to play it. This is Prospero Hall.
Yes.
Which can be great. You think of like Pan Am, Caro, Push, Rear Window. There's been so many that we've loved.
Yep.
This is one versus many. So the other one's by Trick or Treat Studios.
Yep.
And I don't know much about either, but that one is fully cooperative, is from what I understand. Not a big co-op fan. So this one's the one that made my list because it's a one versus many.
Yep.
And I just think, if they capture the theme and the feel of the movie, and it's the OG, it's the 1974 movie, right? Or 73 or 4. This is a 50-year-old movie now. It still holds up, I think, as a scary movie. Don't show it to your kids. But yes, this game, if it captures that feeling in this one versus many thing, and by the way, one versus many is always great because you can play the opposite side the next time you play it. There's just at least a little bit of built-in replayability there. And like we already talked about, Prospero Hall is this design team that has put out tons of great stuff. There's been some hit and miss, but the stuff that's good is so good.
Yep.
So if this is one of their better ones, attached to this theme, which I love, I'm in. I'm excited. So that's my number 7, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Slaughterhouse.
Don't let me forget to give you that before you leave today.
Yeah, I want to play it.
All right, my number 7 is from Arcane Wonders. It's called World Wonders.
Oh, okay.
It is for 1 to 5 players, 50 to 70 minutes. You're going to be a great leader of the past to build your own ancient city. You're going to be using gold each round to build tiles in your own individual city that will increase its economy. Now it has tiling, it's got a spatial puzzle, it's got some resource management and economic elements, and you're also buying from a pool of building types that's open to all players. So you're sort of making money, spending money on new buildings. There's different building types. Those different building types have, like, you might be building Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
Or you might be building it next to, like, the pyramids. And so you're building your own thing, but you have the interaction of the players,
right?
And you're moving up different things on your board that will help your population. You're trying to have the most population in your city. So it's got a little bit of everything that I like. It seems like, and when I was at Origins, I talked to Robert Geislinger from Arcane Wonders, who also used to be a big-time reviewer for the Dice Tower.
Yeah.
He knows my taste really well, and he says of all the things we're coming out this year, he's like, this is going to be right up your alley.
Kind of reminds me like Foundation of Rome,
it does.
which you
and when you look at some of the
with.
pictures I just showed you, I don't know if these buildings were painted. I'm not sure if they come painted, if those are just like messed up.
Right.
But not messed up, but like a bit painted up.
Spruced up.
So yeah, I don't know. Arcane Wonders does great stuff.
Yes.
And he said this is going to be on my thing, and it seems to have the things that I
And there's
like
an economic element which you love as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's it. It's called World Wonders from Arcane Wonders.
There you go.
Number 6.
All right, my number 6. This just looks like a good time. This is from Restoration Games, and it's Restoration Games, so they're bringing back an old game. It's Thunder Road Vendetta. I never played the 80s version. I'm aware that it existed. I saw a Tantrum House. I probably shouldn't mention other YouTube stations.
Oh yeah, those are my buddies.
Okay.
Those guys are great.
They did a little video on it, and that just grabbed my imagination.
And those guys and girls, because they do it with their wives.
Yeah, it's a whole it's a whole team. They, and they did like a little video, and that just grabbed my attention on it. They do great work anyway, but this one just looks
They're
like
part
a blast.
of the OG content creator crew. They've been doing it all
they're
the
older.
time.
They've been doing it for a while. They do great work, and they just grabbed my attention with this one. It's racing, it's combat. They say that they've streamlined the old version. The weight, if it's accurate on BGG, is 2.11, so it sounds like it's very approachable. They've got these cool vehicles. You got like different size vehicles, and then you have this helicopter miniature as well that you can bring in at certain times, apparently. There's 7 designers on it, tons of names you've heard, including Rob Davio, who worked in games like Unmatched, Pandemic Legacy, Return to Dark Tower, HeroScape back in the day, and Downforce, which is another great racing game. So there's such a pedigree here, right? Restoration Games has put out so many great, great revamped, modern versions of older games. Rob Davio and this team of acclaimed designers. And lately we've been really enjoying racing games, right? Like Long Shot the Dice game, Ready, Set, Bet, Down Forest, I mentioned already. These are all just great, fun games that anyone can play. This one is about, trying to race, but also line yourself up and then rolling a die to try to shoot the guys in front of you. It almost kind of reminds me of my brain is blanking, but like the video game, right? Mario Kart. Yeah, it's like Mario Kart and Mad Max had a baby, right? Yeah. And then Restoration Games is at the helm, making sure it's going to be fun and streamlined and approachable. I think a lot of people are going to love this one. I'm really excited to give it a shot.
This looks great, and in fact, everyone that I've talked to, like the Secret Cabal guys, they love this game.
It looks.
Everyone I've talked to has played is like, they did such a great job with this game.
How could they mess up? Oh, the track is cool.
Everything they've done has been great.
Yeah. If you get to the end of the track, you pull the last board off. If there's anyone on there, they have to lose those vehicles.
I also have not played the original.
I haven't either.
I have for Crossbows and Catapults that they just did the huge Kickstarter for. I'm dying for that one.
Oh, what's the other one? Heat.
Oh yeah, Heat.
So there's been a lot of cool racing games lately. I'm excited to see this one.
This one I'm not as interested in because of the combat. I'm like, I don't know.
It's just going to be a fun
I would totally try this because, again, everything they do is awesome.
Yeah, it looks very easy, very approachable, but it's just going to be fun to play with your buddies and line yourself up and blow their car away.
Yeah. No, that's a good choice.
I'm excited.
I'll try to pick it up.
I'm excited.
It's a big box though, and I gotta fit all the stuff in the suit. I got 58 games that fit in 2 suitcases.
Yeah, I don't know how the heck you're gonna do that.
I think I'm gonna have to wait.
You're playing Tetris, trying to get everything in those suitcases.
It is a polynomial game, and the weight game. You can't go over 50 pounds either. Okay, so I gotta tell you something.
Okay.
So.
Confessions.
Confessions. I was telling him the other day while we were researching this, I'm like, I'm already 2 hours in and I'm only in the D's. I'm like, this is like...
There's a lot of good stuff this year.
Yesterday, I finished my research, right?
Yeah.
I finished all this. I'm grabbing all the graphics. 8 hours in of research, right? And then don't subscribe to the Gencon list because new things keep popping up. I was done with my list.
Uh-oh.
This popped up and I had to put it on.
You had to put it on. Okay.
So I had to redo my whole list. After I had just finished 8 hours of research and getting graphics.
Look at the work this man does behind the scenes for you all.
This next one, it came out in Essen in a limited release.
Okay.
The Eagle Griffin Games is going to have their deluxe edition copies there, but they're only bringing 75 of them. This is Federation.
Okay.
And it's for 2 to 4 players, 1 to 2 hours. It's an interactive Euro game. Has an innovative double-sided worker placement mechanism where you have almost like a poker chip-sided worker. And not only are you placing workers for actions, but you're also, depending on the side that you place that sort of poker chip style worker, you're either contributing to mandates or you're trying to fund endgame projects that only score if enough players work together to make sure that they fund. You're also going to be getting bonuses by spatially completing rows of workers. And the actions that takes you out to different planets, which are all little mini games. But again, this is the theme with me, Euro games that have lots of interaction.
Yeah.
Now, did you play this with Matthew Mays?
I have played this.
Okay, so tell me.
This almost made my list.
Okay.
I was trying to lean towards games I hadn't played, although there are a few on here that I've played. I really liked it. Yeah, I want to play it more because it's fairly heavy.
Right.
So, you play it once and you go, okay, I think I got it now, but I want to give it another shot. Now, he was borrowing a copy. He returned it to somebody, so I haven't had a chance to play it a second time. But even though it's fairly heavy, it's still fairly approachable. It's a lot of tracks that you're moving up.
Yep.
And so a lot of the game is just, okay, you're going to move up on these tracks. You just got to learn what the tracks do. But the basic mechanic is, like you said, you're kind of doing a vote by where you place your worker. And then that where you place also allows you to go on a track. So as long as you just kind of learn what all the tracks do, you've got it. So it's not crazy heavy as far as being able to digest and consume how to play. And it's pretty. I like the board. I mean, it's definitely a Euro, but it's like a sci-fi Euro. So oftentimes with sci-fi Euros, they're just a little prettier than a brown, beige, we're just trading goods kind of Euro game. So
the aspect of hey, you and I, we've got to push this goal up because we're going for this end game goal, right?
Well, and every time you play it, because you can't do everything in this game,
right?
You're going to try different combinations of tracks and see kind of how that works. So I feel like there's just a ton of replayability built in. It's expensive. So I mean, be aware if you're getting excited. It's and I think they're doing the deluxe version there. But it is a solid game and one I want to try again.
What was I talking about? Well, when I talked about Lorcana, I said this is going to be the thing everyone's running for.
Yeah.
So there's actually 2 other things I think people should or would want to run for at Gencon or will be.
Yeah.
This is the other.
Okay.
Because there's only going to be 75 copies.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I was unable to find out if they're rationing them on a per day basis.
They often do.
Yeah, but so what? It's like 20 a day. Like,
Yeah, it's going to be
that's gonna
really
that's
tough.
just going to be publishers who can get in the door early.
You think they might just sell them all day one?
I don't know. I don't know if they are. That's
Yeah,
all I'm saying.
yeah.
If you want Federation, you
Better
your
grab it.
first stop better be running to the Meeple Source booth. Eagle Griffin will not have a booth.
Oh.
It's going to be being sold through the Meeple Source booth.
That's
so
good
if you're
info.
looking
I didn't
for-
know that.
If you're looking for Federation, they're on like the right side whatever. Run to the Meeple. Actually, this is the Gencon thing. Do not run. Do not. It's
Walk very quickly.
That is the chant that happens 5 minutes before the doors open every
Right.
year. It's kind of like one of the most fun things
And
to
half
watch.
the people run anyway.
And half the people, it's like a walk run, Anyway, Lorcana, I have a feeling if it's there, they have brought enough copies. I think, I don't know, but I think this one's in so limited. If you're really interested in this one, you better or split up. So that's it. That is my next
Federation.
Yep, Federation.
Number 5.
All right, my number 5. I told you this is a good year for horror fans. My number 5 is from Trick or Treat Studios, which I mentioned earlier. They're going to have their Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, competing with the other one. But this one is Halloween, based off the classic movie series, really. And it's Emerson Masucci, right? Doing hidden movement, which he'd done before with Spectre Ops. He shines in a lot of arenas. Like everything he touches is gold. But when Spectre Ops first came out, we played it so much.
And I believe this was inspired, like he
I
used
think
the
it's-
basic of Spectre Ops.
Sure, I'm sure
but
he
still
borrowed from it.
He made it a different game.
But it's years later. I mean, it's got to be better. Plus, you throw that theme on top of it, this recognizable theme, this horror franchise that we've sort of all grown up with at this point. I couldn't be more excited. Well, maybe I could. I guess it could be my number 1.
Yeah.
But it's my number 5, and that's Halloween.
This is we saw this at Gamma.
Yes, we did.
Super excited. We were texting with Emerson while we were there and stuff.
Yeah.
This would have made my list, except
You're not a horror fan.
I am not. But no, it still would have. Except I got so excited because I didn't think it was coming out till later. I emailed the Trick or Treat Studio guys. I go, you guys are going to have Halloween at Gen Con? I just saw it on the
Is
list.
it not going to be there?
They said, yeah, I think we got our wires crossed. We were sending them both the BGG list and the Essen list together, and they crossed the wires.
So it might not be there, or it's definitely not going to be there.
It's not going to be for sale there.
It was listed as a for sale option.
It is.
Which is why I put it on my list.
And that's right. And that's why I had it on my had it on my list.
You did?
Yes. It was on my top 10 list. And I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think you were going to have it that early. He's like, yeah, we're not. So
Okay.
Halloween will not be for sale there.
Oh, sadness.
Yeah, it's really sad.
They're going to demo it,
They
I
are
hope?
gonna, I believe they're going to have the copy that we saw at Gamma there. So you can still go check it out.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm sad too because it was on my list. So it would have been our first crossover.
That's right. We haven't had any yet, which I'm surprised about.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So that is Halloween. Yes, good choice there. That would have been on mine.
Good information, by the way. I didn't realize because, like I said, it was listed as being for sale. That's a bummer they're not able to have some copies there.
But you can check it out, and you could probably even still play a demo of it.
Yeah, cool.
All right, my number 5 is a game we saw at Gamma that I am dying for called Redwood.
Yes, I saw that on here.
This is from Sit Down, and it's going to be at the Flat River Group booth, which, by the way, there's like 5 booths listed under them. I don't know which one it's going to be.
Oh, okay.
It's 1 to 4 players, 45 to 60 minutes, and you're going to step into the shoes of a wildlife photographer.
Cool theme.
Where you'll use movement estimations and angle of view to take pictures of wild animals to compose the most beautiful panorama. But you'll be choosing between movements and your angle of view. So you actually use like a plastic piece that shows you the angle of your view of where you're looking at to try to catch the animals in your picture without disturbing them. So you're going to be collecting animals, and there's all these different decorative elements that help you earn victory points. And during the game, new conditions for earning points will appear. When I saw this, I went, okay, wildlife photography, cool theme. I looked at the board, I'm like, cool. And then when I saw like you're moving around, and then you have this like,
it's a cool.
What was the game?
Is it the pirate one?
Treasure Island.
Treasure Island,
where you have these plastic pieces and you're measuring and you're doing like these compasses.
Right.
This is kind of like that idea where you're like, you have like an angle of like thematically and just piece-wise, it looks so unique.
Well, it looks really pretty too.
Gorgeous.
The cover looks really
like,
gorgeous.
I don't know. Is this gonna be one of those games that looks gorgeous and it's just a gimmick and it's gonna be like, it's okay?
Is the designer someone we know?
You know what? Honestly, I didn't even look.
Okay.
Usually, I always look.
I noticed a lot of first-time designers on this list.
It used to be back in the day. We'd see a first-time designer and be like, I don't know if I'll check that out. Now, when it's first-time designer, we go, oh.
Might be the best game they ever make because they've been working on it for a decade in their mind.
So this one, because of the theme and because the little thing of the thematic of doing it,
I'm
dying.
so glad you mentioned this one because it barely fell off my list.
Dude, we still have actually no official crossovers.
Right. No, this is one I almost included. It looks so cool. The theme looks so fun. A lot of nature games recently,
Of course,
right?
And
I like that,
I know
though.
people are having burnout on this. I would still.
Yeah, but they're all different genres.
I know there's so much you can do.
Right, there's different
How
mechanics.
much different fantasy can you do? I'm so sick.
Well, for a while it was zombie games
so sick
or
of-
micro games. This is a better trend, I think,
I
of
think
nature
so.
games. I agree
There's
with
more avenues to go down.
you. You can attach any mechanics you want to it.
like-
It's such a broad
Ooh,
theme.
another made-up fantasy faction. Wake me up when this crap is over. Seriously.
I don't know if I fully endorse what he's saying, but I get it.
I don't care. You could give me as many nature games as you want. I'm loving
Yeah.
them.
No,
'Cause
no.
They tend to produce beautiful games.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Yeah, and it's just,
Beautiful art.
and then when they're educational, like the Fox Experiment one
Yeah.
as well, that's just an added bonus.
Yeah, there you go.
Number 4.
All right, speaking of nature games, my number 4, we saw this at Gamma as well. I think this one might be on your list. I don't know, maybe not. This is Pandasaurus again. I think this is the only company I have 2 from, right? The last one we talked about was the Fox Experiment.
They've been knocking it out of the park the last couple
They
of years.
make a lot of great stuff, and this one is
Spoiler, you're going to see a couple of Pandasaurus games on my other list.
on your other list.
Later this week.
You've played some. Okay, so maybe this is one you played. I don't
You've
know.
played them too, though.
This one I have not played,
Okay, neither have I been probably.
but I want to, and I know you own it.
Oh.
Emerge.
Oh, it's right there.
It's right there.
I have not played it yet. It just came
Just
in.
out of frame. Emerge, Pandasaurus game, worker placement, beautiful art, edited actually by a designer I love, Eric Slauson, shout out to him. It's worker placement with dice. I tend to like that. Castles of Burgundy is one of the best Felds ever. Coimbra is a recent game that I really enjoyed. And just the look of this game, it's like a long, slender board, and basically these volcanic islands are emerging. And it's one of those games that has, you'll maybe help me fill in the blanks here. It's like a multiplier thing.
Yeah.
However many meeples based off the levels
Yeah.
of the height of the island is how you score. It just sounds fun.
Reminds me of Acropolis scoring.
Yes, Acropolis or like Miyabi or these games that we've been really enjoying lately. But it looks beautiful. Another nature theme. Great company. This is maybe a first-time designer or a very new designer. So that's not grabbing me necessarily. But like you said, sometimes that first design is like they're knocking it out of the park. It's like that first album from an artist or a band or a singer that you love, right? They've been working on those songs their whole life. So I'm very cautiously optimistic about this one. I hope it's as good as it looks.
Yeah.
It feels like it's not going to be too heavy,
Right.
like the right weight, the right company, cool theme, this kind of mathy scoring that I often enjoy in games. So I'm stoked for Emerge.
I am too. Remind me to let you take that one too, because you're not going to Gen Con.
I'm not.
And I can't play them while
While
I'm at
you're
Gen Con.
buying games and spending money while getting games from publishers,
I buy stuff
I'll
too.
be playing them.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a good pick.
I'll be curious to see if
It's
this
funny
is on
because
your
we saw
list.
this at Gamma
Yeah.
at the Pandasaurus booth.
Yeah.
But we also saw 4 other games there. We also were like, whoa,
A bunch of
right?
which we've had a chance to play since.
and have reviewed and
Yes.
might show up on my other list. Like, 'cause I'm serious. Pandasaurus,
Yeah.
like the 2 companies I think that are just like knocking most of the stuff out of the park, Pandasaurus and 25th Century Games.
Yeah.
Those 2 I think are just, everything they come out with is so good.
Well, I agree. I mean, this is the only, I'm pretty sure this is the only company I have 2 games from the same company.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, my number 4. I'm kind of surprised this one's not on your list. This feels like something up
It
your
still
alley.
could be. I got a few left.
Okay, now my number 4 is called The Rich and the Good. And it's for 3 to 5 players, takes 45 minutes from Era's Games. You are stockbrokers during the Second Industrial Revolution, trying to make as much money as possible while also coming across as good citizens by donating money to charity.
Yes.
You'll be purchasing or selling shares of stock, we love stock games,
Yes.
and then manipulating the stock prices with cards that you share with your 2 neighbors. You'll be donating stock to charities, which is sold off at the end of the round for charitable donation. And whoever donates the least to charity by the end of the game automatically loses, no matter how wealthy they've made themselves. This sounds amazing. And it uses a system of shared information where each player knows a little about what's going to happen in the markets. That reminds me of like Stockpile, with each player knowing different pieces of information. Everything that I just read makes me in love. Like, and it looks cool. When I first looked at the box, I was like, is this the trilogy of like the What was the one where you want to lose your money that you've been inherited?
Oh crap! What's that called?
The prodigal.
Prodigal's Club.
Yeah, Prodigal Club.
Oh shoot! I can't remember. People are screaming at the YouTube video.
I know.
Right now.
There were 2 games. There was like
Yeah.
when you look at the box, maybe it was done by the same artist because it
Maybe.
looks exactly like a sequel of that game.
It sounds Kinesia-esque as well, with like the person who donates the
Did
leads
you
is
see this one on the
automatically.
list?
I did see it. I don't know why it didn't quite make the cut for me. I mean, like I said, there were dozens
Yeah.
that interested me. We like economic games. We like stock games.
I mean,
The donation to charity part reminds me of Carnegie, which is a game I really love. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the games that have corruption. If you have the most, you can't win.
Right.
And
Like,
it's 3 to 5 players, quite limited, but usually in these types of interaction games, you'd probably only play with that limited player count anyway.
the fact that it didn't play 2, and now that you say that, was one of the... look, I had to find reasons
Yeah.
to cut games,
Yeah.
and some make the list and some don't, and I tend to like games that play 2.
This thing, I
But
am
yeah,
like
it
over
sounds
the
cool.
moon over this.
It sounds
I
cool.
think this is going to be perfect for our group.
Who's the company again?
Ares Games.
Yeah, okay. Good track record, too. Yeah,
yeah, they
solid company's been around a long time.
There you go.
Number 3.
All right, my number 3, I mentioned there's a few I've played before. Not only have I played this, but thanks to this gentleman over here, it's in my house. And it's one of my most played games of 2023. It's by Molly Johnson and Robert Melvin
Point
and
City.
Sean Stankiewicz, and that is Point City. I love this game. I've taught it to tons of people. When I teach it right, they really enjoy it.
And this was a Kickstarter.
This was a
And
Kickstarter.
it's going to be at Gencon for sale.
Yeah, it was listed on the thread. These designers have worked on games like 10 and Verdant. Like they've of course, Point Salad, the original, this is sort of a sequel to. I like this one better. I like the art in it better. I think it's a little less customizable, but there's still like 150 different buildings.
Yeah.
And every card is either a resource on one side or a combination of resources or a building on the other side. And you're just trying to gather what you need to get. It's very Splendor-esque,
Yeah.
right? Which I love. But this is...
Everything is Splendor.
Everything is Splendor, exactly. Some of the buildings will give you discounts on future buys. Some of them will give you access to special tokens that give you unique ways to score that no one else has access to. I love the building art. There's just a lot going on here, but it's very streamlined, very approachable. Play it with anybody. It's going to feel different every time. I'm just loving this. Like I said, it's one of my most played games of 2023.
It's really good.
I'm pulling it out a ton. Just like Point Salad, I pulled it out a ton, but I got a little burned out on Point Salad over time. This one, we'll see. So far, not. I mean, I played it maybe a dozen times.
This isn't as mean as Point Salad.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that's good about it. I mean, I like mean games, you like mean games, but this is going to be more approachable, right?
Yeah.
Point Salad, you can really kind
And
of
you still are kind
hoard
of making
stuff.
your own scoring in this.
You absolutely are.
Yeah.
Those tokens, you take one of those tokens by building the right kind of building that has the icon
Yeah.
that matches, and no one else can score that way.
Yeah.
Right? And it's going to feel different every time because there's more tokens than
Yeah.
you use on any given play.
This game's really
It's-
good. If you like
it's
engine
kind of a
building,
masterpiece.
if you like Splendor,
Yeah.
just make sure you take out the right amount of cards for the right player
Like I
count.
said, when I teach it right, it goes over well. It was one time.
All right, my number 3, I'm also surprised is not on your list.
Still could be.
It could be. I'd be very surprised because the reason why I do so much research
Yeah.
is because I try my best
Yeah.
to find diamonds in the rough.
Okay.
And I feel like this is going to be one of those.
All right.
And it's from a company that we've also have gotten 2 diamonds in the rough from them in the past.
Okay.
Okay, this is called Glitch Squad.
Ah.
This is from Resonim Games. Those are the Max. It's a small little company.
Yep.
They came up with Phantom Inc. that we love.
Love Phantom Inc.
Visitor in Blackwood Grove.
Yes.
So this is another
Also a good one.
in this party style
Yeah.
genre.
Yeah.
4 to 8 players, 15 minutes. You're forensic scientists of the Glitch Squad, and you've been assigned to a crime scene to analyze. But unfortunately, the office cat Glitch has accidentally changed the passwords of all the evidence lockers. So what you do is you're trying to write down 3 clues to help one of your teammates guess a piece of evidence. Could be a location, a weapon, occupation, hobby, whatever. But Glitch the cat, who's an opponent, messes up these clues, erasing one of them and writing something else in to throw them for a loop. For example, you might be trying to guess a profession from 3 clues like restaurant, greeting, and guest. But you know one of them is glitched. Now from this picture, can you guess the profession? Well, it turns out that restaurant was the glitch written by the opponent. The original clue was actually computer. And the answer was, drumroll please, receptionist. Would you have guessed that? If so, you get to reveal the next letter in of the password to your evidence locker. That's kind of like Phantom Inkish. You're getting 1 letter at a time, and you're
Phantom
trying
Ink.
to guess your thing, and every one that you get right or make the other player get wrong, you get 1 more letter, and you're trying to guess your secret word. This blew my mind over this. I'm like, oh my gosh, this has aspects of Phantom Inc., but it feels so different. And
Same design team as Phantom Inc.
I think this is going to be like a party game hit.
I agree with you.
A thinky party game hit.
Yeah.
Like Phantom Inc.
Yeah.
Like it's going to feel Phantom Inc.
But still approachable.
Yes.
Like you could play Phantom Inc. with anybody, but it still
Thinky.
burns the brain just right.
Just like Codenames does.
You know what
It's
else?
easy, but it's thinky.
And then the cat glitch coming in and messing up some of the clues reminds me of Belrati.
Yes.
Which we also love. It's different, but it reminds me of it. Great choice. I'm so glad you mentioned it.
Yeah, and that whole messing with things kind of feels almost decryptoist as well.
Yeah.
Where you're like trying to mislead.
Well, when I played Phantom Inc., I said, this is the more streamlined, more approachable, gonna get to the table way more version of Decrypto.
Yeah.
I love Phantom Inc. It's actually one of my most played games the last couple, 3 years.
Glitch Squad, I think, could be, and that theme's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very good choice.
There you go. There's a diamond in the rough, folks.
Yes.
Glitch Squad, small little, probably 10 by 10 booth, one of those.
Yeah, and it's going to be cheap. It's going to be affordable. You can play with anybody.
There you go.
Number 2.
We're getting down to nitty gritty here.
Yes. Okay, my number 2.
And we still have no official crossovers.
Yes.
That's insane.
Well, it's a
Because
good list.
But we have very similar tastes in a lot of ways.
I think we have areas where we differ a lot, but the Venn diagram of our tastes overlaps a lot. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff that we've both enjoyed, and this list is just good. I mean, I was going through this thread. At first, I was like, I don't know how many there are to be excited about. And then as I really started digging into it, I was like, wow, this is a stacked list this year. This game is one that I've actually played, all right? I've played it twice, but it's been about a year, and I played sort of a demo, rough version of it. It's actually sitting right there, and it is Last Light.
Oh,
Last Light.
This is actually the expansion.
Ah, okay. That's funny. So there's the basic version that's 4-player. It's a 4X game. It's a 4X game you can play in an hour is the idea. Designed by Roy Kennedy. His first design. What an ambitious design just right out of the park. Like hit it, right out of the gate. Now with it was a Game Founder that was funded on, there's goes up to 8 players. Shouldn't change the play time. Now, I will put this caveat that both the times I played it, Roy was in the room. If we had a question, we could go to him and he would help us kind of figure it out. I am not getting paid in any way to promote this. I just am a fan of the game. I've played it twice now, about a year apart at different conventions. And I'm so excited it's now going to be finally available. And I'm very excited to see what Roy comes up with next, because I think this guy's got a brain on him, let me tell you. Because this is, like I said, a 4X experience, 4 to 8 players in should be an hour-ish, once people know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's just so impressive and so ambitious and so beautiful on the table. You've got these planets that are on standees. The whole board rotates and moves, sort of simulates the idea of the moving of a solar system or a galaxy that's sort of rotating. And so what happens is you kind of go into, you advance into a new ring, and then everything rotates, and suddenly you're in someone else's face, right? And so you're interacting with everyone at the table too, even if you're playing with 8 players. So ambitious, so impressive. Can't wait to play this again. So glad this is going to be available for people. It's his Gray Fox Games. I don't know if I said that yet. Huge fan of this.
Yeah.
Huge fan of this.
He's been talking it up, so I'm also excited.
I think I built it up too much at this point. But I really...
It could only fail for me at this
Yes,
point.
I know. I'm nervous.
I'm just kidding.
But the couple plays I've had of it, and like I said, they weren't it was production copy.
Yeah.
He's pulling ships from other games. It's going to be really exciting to see the final version. Oh, asymmetrical factions. It's just everything you'd want, but in this really short play time for this type of game. So that's my number 2, Last Light.
All right. My number 2 is
Yes.
the game from Matt Leacock.
Oh.
Game Right, Forbidden Jungle.
Oh, okay.
2 to 5 players, 45 minutes.
Latest in the series.
I have a special love for the Forbidden series because Forbidden Island was what sort of got me back into the hobby back in 2010.
Yeah.
And obviously, like most people, I played games all my, as a kid. And
Sure.
Played a lot of Magic in college, played poker in college.
Right.
But then in 2010, this really got me back
Kind of got you back
it
into...
sucked me right back in. And I told Matt Leacock this story at Board Game Geek many years ago.
Yeah.
And he just loved hearing it. He's like, wow, now look how many videos you've done. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's all because of your game. He's like, that is really cool. And even back then, which was this was probably 7 years ago, he's like, well, let me tell you a secret. I've got another version coming out later. It's going to be called Forbidden Jungle. This was way before.
Wow.
This was probably right after Desert came out.
Oh, interesting.
But it was before Sky came out.
So a third one came in between.
Yes, Sky came out before Jungle, even though he was telling me about Jungle. And this is the first time I've mentioned the story because I couldn't say anything. Until
Right, of course.
Anyway, I have a special place on my heart for Forbidden Island. I teach that to everyone. It's still one of my favorite. It's my favorite of the series still.
Crazy approachable co-op game. I'm not even a huge co-op fan, but I still love this
So let me talk about Jungle. So in this one, your team's crash landed on a mysterious jungle planet, and you need to work together to survive. Now, in a Board Game Geek thread, Matt Leacock actually chimed in recently some more details, so I feel like he put it there. It's safe to say. Sure. The game takes place on an abandoned spaceport on a remote moon that has been reclaimed by the jungle. You'll be searching the ruins of an abandoned outpost for an elusive escape portal, all while fending off ever-growing horde of venomous creatures and an escalating chain of collapsing locations. You'll shift tiles to power up the portal and to live to see another day. And also from Matt, he said, tiles will disappear during play as sinkholes, but the players will also have some options for blowing them up themselves. You'll also be able to use machinery to shift tiles around the board in order to reconfigure them. Now, he also said, Forbidden Island remains the gateway title in the series. Both Forbidden Desert and Forbidden Jungle have lots of fun depth that should attract players looking for more. While Forbidden Desert features an environmental threat, the sun and shifting sands of the desert, in Forbidden Jungle you'll have to contend with an embodied threat, a hive of spider-like aliens who have moved into the spaceport and aren't too keen about your arrival. Now for me, with the grid looking similar to Island, but the depth of desert, I think this has the possibility of being my favorite. Because I always loved the disappearing tiles and trying to figure out which one are we okay with getting rid of.
Prioritizing, always prioritizing.
I love that about Island, and the fact that that aspect is going to be in this game, but it's going to be at like a desert layout. This could be my favorite.
Well, and then for me at least, the sci-fi theming of like these alien hordes coming after you as well, that's really cool actually.
The last one, Sky, I was super excited about. Other than the toy factor of the rocket kind of blowing away, was my least favorite.
Okay.
So I'm hoping this gets back on track to where it was, but it sounds like...
Well, it sounds like he's been working on it for a long time.
I can't wait for this.
Like a real passion project for him.
This is another one that probably is going to sell out, I imagone. Because this is the first time they're doing it. This is one... So I'm going to be running for Lorcana. I'm going to be running for this. I'm going to be running for Federation. But there you go. There's number 2. And shortly here, we're going to be coming up with number 1.
Number 1.
Now, if you're watching this, you definitely play games, and hey, why not make some money while gaming? Now, the World Series of Board Gaming 2023 is in Las Vegas from September 24th through 28th, and they're giving away over $40,000 and Super Bowl-style rings to the winners. Now, there's 16 different games available to play, like Ticket to Ride, Wingspan, Terraforming Mars, and many more. Now, you can click the link below to learn more details of how it works, and to receive $40 off your entry using the promo code GameBoyGeek.
All right, we made it. Number 1.
We've made it to number 1 with no official crossover, which is insane to me.
Well, not anymore.
Uh-oh.
My number 1, probably by a mile, is Glitch Squad.
Whoa!
I know I'm going to love this game.
Wow.
I mean, with most games, unless you've played them, there's always that chance that you'll be let down, you'll be disappointed. I know I'm going to love this game. I love Phantom Inc.
So if you... A lot of people just fast forward to your number 1s.
Yes.
In case you have...
Go back.
We caught you, cheaters. Get to the back of the line. Go back to whatever number it was.
What was it for you? 3,
for me,
4?
Okay, for you people, go back to number 3.
Yeah.
Go on the timestamp, go back to number 3 where we talk about how it's played, because we're not going to go over it again.
Not only a crossover, but both in our like top 3.
Yes.
I mean, come on. That sells the game.
There were so many things in the list as we talked about. Did one of your filters of publisher or designer make you find this one? Because this was a hard one to find. It was kind of like hidden.
I just took the time. I slowly scrolled through every title.
Yeah.
When I saw them and I saw, the publisher name, everything, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm in. And then the more I dug into it, like the description that you gave earlier, I was just like, yeah, everything about this sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It's going to be a blast.
It's going to be amazing.
I know I'm going to play it a ton, just like Phantom Inc. I mean, I've played Phantom Inc. so many times.
So what you're saying is you absolutely want me to pick up a second copy while I'm there.
If you don't, I'll have someone else do it.
Brett, you've got to pick up, Brett and Charlie.
Don't worry, I've already talked to Brett. Shout out Brett. He's, I think he's going to get his own copy too, because he was reading the description as well. We were talking, we were messaging each other, and he's like, yeah, this does sound cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my number 1.
Great choice. Interesting.
A real only like crossover, right? Yeah. because it's such a stacked list. There's so many good games.
Again, we talked about this quite a bit at number 3. Go back there. I even show you how to play. I even give
Party
you
game, everyone could play it, 4 to 8 players.
Stinky party game, yep.
Fun theme.
Glitch Squad from Resonim Games.
Resonim, yep.
So check them out.
Small publisher.
Yep.
Phantom Inc., I feel like, hasn't even gotten on everyone's radar.
Nope.
So I hope this one's a huge hit. And then they
people
bring back
discover
Phantom Inc. and like more print runs and all that because if you like games like Decrypto or
you gotta love small publishers like Resonim.
Yeah.
Who consistently put out amazing games.
Yeah. It's just going to take time for people to find them and realize how good this stuff is.
And they should, though, because they have made enough hits now that people should know who Resonim is. And if you don't, please know them now because these guys are great.
Well,
and girls.
When we're bringing up Gray Fox and these established companies, that's great and all. These are games. We're trying to get them on your radar. But I love that we can hopefully highlight some of these smaller companies that haven't gotten the the big buzz that some of these other ones have and get it on people's radar because doesn't mean the games are any less good just because it's a smaller publisher. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep. So there's the box cover for Glitch Squad.
Number 1, Glitch Squad for me.
So it was interesting because we did not have an official crossover until number 1 for you.
Right.
And we also, for the first time, have a crossover from me to you.
Oh, okay.
Both at number 1. We had no crossovers officially.
Yeah, and we didn't talk ahead of time.
We didn't talk ahead of time. And our number 1s, both of us, it was a crossover, which is kind of crazy. I've got to do a disclaimer for this first, though. Let me just say it. It was I forget, number 2 or 3. So my number 1 is Last Light.
Okay.
What number was it for you?
2, I think.
Okay, so go back to the timestamp at number 2 because you probably jumped right to number 1 like a lot of people do. I got to do a disclaimer here. Last Light, the expansion box is here. The Last Light box has been behind me for over a year now.
Yeah.
Gray Fox Games has been a sponsor of this channel for a while. But I will tell you guys the same thing I tell any publisher that wants to advertise on my channel, which is, sure, I have to like your stuff. I have to like your games.
Right.
And I want you to know it will not influence how much coverage you get, how frequent coverage you get, or what I say about your games.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with that to be a sponsor on my channel.
It's just there in the background.
It's just there, or other advertising.
Sure.
That's mandatory for me.
Yeah.
So much so, I could probably count on 3 fingers how many games I actually have backed on Kickstarter. I do not back games.
Yeah.
This Joe Schmo over here upsold
Who, me?
Last Light to me so heavily after playing it at Dice Tower.
You're welcome, Roy.
So many times that it was like the last hours of Last Light, and I cut a deal with him. I said, all right, here we go, Greg. I'm going to back the all-in super deluxe 8-player version for, I don't know, it was like $200 or something like that.
It was a lot.
And I said, if I don't like it, you have to buy it from me. And he goes, okay.
I hope he likes it because then I can play it and I don't spend money.
I say that to say this, that them sponsoring this has nothing to do with it, even though it just coincidentally happens to be my number 1.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm so excited about it, and again, I bought it, so this isn't lip service here. The reason why is the reason that you said.
Yeah.
4X game in about an hour once you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you can action just simultaneous.
Yep.
And you can play with a huge player count. We were talking the other day, like how many games play up to 8 players? Again, you need the expansion to do this. That don't lengthen the game, right?
Yeah.
So there's like
7 Wonders. But that doesn't even go to 8.
Yeah, and then there's like the Between Two Castles on Madkin and Ludwig. There's the Great Split. There are games that are drafting or simultaneous working with neighbors.
They're usually lighter games,
They're usually lighter, and
Yeah.
there's not many of them.
Right.
Like what heavier-ish game that plays somewhat simultaneously can you play in about an hour, maybe 75 minutes with up to 8 players?
Yeah.
Like this, for me, that's like, oh my gosh. Like I don't keep a lot of games anymore unless it fits a specific niche.
There's
right?
kind of nothing.
How many times are we at the end of a night and we're like, well, what are we going to play? We end up playing like Panic on Wall Street or something like that. But sometimes you're still in the mood for like a heavier experience, but you don't want it to be 5 times as long.
Right.
So that is the reason. And not to say that, I mean, how good it looks with the acrylic planets and all the factions.
Oh my gosh.
Go
the
back,
rotating board.
Go
it's
back
so
to
cool.
his number two, because we talk about the mechanisms more.
Yeah.
And I'm just super excited about it for that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's really no game. I mean, you might be able to come up with one, but I'll be surprised that fits all of that criteria. 4 to 8 players, doesn't lengthen the playtime with more players, has that much depth and choice, but isn't super crazy long.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think once you know what you're doing, like when Roy was running it the first time I played it, we played it in an hour.
Yeah, and I have not played it yet, ever.
Yeah.
Never even seen it in person.
Yeah.
This video is going live about a week before Gencon, and before Gencon comes, and in the future, after this video is recorded, we're going to have a chance to play it, actually.
Yeah.
So I will get a chance to play it between now and I'm actually physically at Gen Con, so I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
I also want to preface this by saying, if you're a backer, I was told a couple things. Number one,
Okay.
backer copies are en route from the factory
Oh,
already.
fantastic.
Okay, so they are en route. They have left the factory and they're on their way. So backers, they're on their ways.
Okay, cool.
Gray Fox has told me that they always disclaim in their campaigns that they have the right to market games at conventions before
They're actually
it might
received.
be before.
Sure.
They are air shipping in copies. It's going to be the super deluxe, the versions that I talked about.
Yeah.
They're going to be rationing them about between 25 and 30 copies per day.
Okay.
So if you can't get there till Saturday or Sunday, you still have a shot.
Okay, that's
If you don't
good.
get it on Thursday or Friday, you can still try to run.
Yeah.
Don't run, do not run, do not run. You can
Speed
still
walk.
walk fast. So they are going to be rationing them off. It
Yeah.
is the super deluxe versions, and they spent a fortune air shipping these in for marketing purposes.
Yeah.
So if you're a backer, I can understand you being a little upset because, like, hey, but as
But it
far
sounds
as I
like
know,
they're getting them very soon as well, the backers.
most companies do this now.
Yeah.
The amount of money it takes to have a Gen Con booth, like I was at even just Origins, which isn't nearly as bad as Gen Con.
Yeah.
I had one publisher tell me, this game costs me $8 per copy just
to
to
have
have
it there.
the union bring it from the docks,
Oh.
which are, I can see from my booth to my booth because they charge $1 per pound.
Oh, really?
And this game was £8.
Yeah, that's
Right,
not even
right.
factoring the cost of the booth
No, that's
and
not costing
their
about
own
the
travel
thousands of
expenses
dollars
and everything
spent
else.
to airship stuff in. So I
Interesting.
just wanted to lay the land that people don't know how a lot of times
Yeah.
how the business works, and they're just angry backers. Please don't be angry. Your copies are on the way.
Yeah.
And
you'll be happy when you get it, 'cause
Many
it's awesome.
publishers, in order to stay in business, not saying that's what they had to do, stay in business, but many companies have to market things like this.
Yeah.
They're not even going to make any money off this. It's basically they're going to be lucky to break even between the booth costs and air shipping all this
interesting.
stuff
Okay.
in. It's mainly just for marketing purposes to get it out there.
Yeah.
But backers, yours are on the way. That's
Build
what
the buzz.
I was told, but I wanted to be careful how
I'm glad you have
this.
that insight and that you're able to kind of get people up to date on what's going on.
So yeah, that's my number one. Last Light. All right, well there is our top 10 most anticipated games. Now, hopefully you found a game or 2 or 10 or 20 or 18, I think. 18 different games that you can go look at. Again, thanks so much for Board Game Geek, Eric Martin, team over there, for putting that list together. We could not do
Yeah.
this without you. If you liked this list or you want to know even more, in a few days I'm going to be putting out another video, my top 10 games that are releasing at Gen Con that I've already played. For me, if I was, and I am, a content consumer and a content creator I liked, had an anticipated list and a what's the best list that you've already played, for me, the best played list is the one I would pay more attention to
Well,
because
yeah, you know more.
these are games that you've already played,
Yeah.
you've already vetted, and most of these are not even out yet, or they have just come out, but
Right.
they're not really
Right.
available yet. This is going to be the first place. For me, that video is better than this one, but this one always gets more than 3x the amount of views. I will never be able to figure out why.
Well, and 10 times now that I'm here.
Yeah, of course. And I will never figure out why. So if you want to see even more games, but you even want more tried and true games that I have already played, and I'm telling you, these are excellent.
Yeah.
Check out that video. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, go ahead and subscribe down below so you don't miss it on Thursday. This coming Thursday. It's
Thursday's
gonna be
coming out? Okay,
it's gonna be
cool.
coming out Thursday. And thumbs up the video if you like this. I want to thank Greg so much
Thanks for having
being
me.
here.
Yeah. This is fun.
And they can follow you on Instagram at
Greg C. Dixon, GregCDickson. And some of these games we've talked about, like Blob Party and stuff, I've posted pictures about already.
He's always posting pictures of all the new games that
Yeah.
we're getting to look at and stuff. He posts on Instagram way more than I do. I just post my reviews. Like, here's
That's
my
because
review.
I don't do anything else.
He actually posts all like the newest pictures of the nights that we're playing stuff. So
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
want to
yeah.
see what we're playing, actually, it's better to follow him.
Yeah, and it's fun to, I just love people commenting and talking to me there. I've met so many cool people through Instagram. So yeah, that'd be awesome.
There you go.
Come.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for watching.
Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table into a high-quality gaming solution, but they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with over 20 styles of thematic game mats in 11 different sizes from notable board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and real cool accessories, experience what thousands of other gamers enjoy by upgrading every game you play with a Game Topper system. Save hundreds of dollars on Game Topper package deals that are in stock now for immediate shipping at GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.